Welcome into the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. We have a very, very good show for you today, folks. I got the pleasure of reading a great book over the weekend, and I'm excited to tell you about it. It's called Chainedbirds. It's written by Carla Conti, and it is a wonderful look. I don't know if I should say wonderful. It's a disturbing look, if anything, inside the federal prison system. Carla did something incredibly brave. She told the story of an inmate inside that prison that she got to know through a friend, a lawyer friend of hers. And it was a 10-year journey to advocate for federal inmate Kevinsanders and help him re-enter society after prison. We'll get into this story, folks. And it is a horrifying story. It's a bit of a tearjerker. It is a story that is going to, I guarantee you, you're going to want to pick up this book. It's going to get to you at times. Just hearing about the conditions inside this prison, hearing what Kevin went through, hearing what Carla went through, what Scott went through, hearing about their personal journeys throughout these 10 years is just absolutely heart-wrenching. I'm going to bring Carla in now. We'll get to it, because it's quite the story. Carla Conti is a former journalist who covered police beats and criminal courts, sparking her fascination with true crime. Her exclusive access to federal inmate Kevinsanders and his harrowing prison experiences inspired her memoirs, Chainedbirds. She now advocates for criminal justice reform and shares related stories on her blog. We'll have a link to it in the description of this program. The book Chainedbirds is out right now by Wildbluepress. We have a link to that as well in the description of this program. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in for the first time to True Crime Tuesday, Carla Conti. Carla, welcome in.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I got to tell you, I went through this book very quickly, and it is a lengthy book. I'll give you that. It's a meaty book because there's a lot to tell there. There's a lot of history. But I went through it, believe it or not, in 2 sittings. That's all it took me. 2 sittings. Read the first 100 pages in the first sitting, and I knocked the rest out in the second sitting. That's how much you riveted me.
I like hearing that.
It was very riveting. I want to start first with, and I want to jump ahead. I'm going to jump into different places here, Carla, when it comes to this book, because you take a very intimate look into the federal prison system. I want to get your impressions, first of all, about how that look into the federal prison system changed you as a person. When you get a look at the ugly side of anything, how does that change you fundamentally, heart and soul?
Well, I suppose it was eye-opening, first of all. I mean, I knew nothing about the criminal justice system as far as what was fair, what wasn't fair, how indigent defendants are treated, the scale that weighs most heavily toward prosecution, in the federal system. So that was eye-opening. And then just to understand what goes on in federal prison, eye-opening. And I guess I'm just very happy that in the end I was able to and decided to tell this story so that I could bring this awareness to other people. The whole experience has made me want to support criminal justice reform, which we badly need in this country, and remain hopeful that we've started taking baby steps in the right direction as far as modeling prison rehabilitation after some European models, for instance, and just trying to be supportive of these reform causes.
You put it eloquently in the beginning of the book that this whole case starts with one snowball thrown at a guard. Starts this entire spiraling out of control. And that it's funny how retribution, I shouldn't say funny as in ironic, not funny as in ha-ha, but funny as in ironic. that one person's pettiness can cause inhumane treatment, and that there's no justice behind those four walls and those great bars. How is it that that type of corruption can continue on and on and on again behind those four walls? Why are there no checks and balances behind those four walls?
It's just a complete imbalance of power. And people in positions of power don't always do the right things with that level of power. And if you're a correctional officer and maybe you want to do the right thing, your colleagues are not going to have your back if you feel like you want to, turn someone in or rat someone out. It's just a system designed to sustain itself in not very good ways. And the inmates themselves, they don't have a voice. They don't have advocacy usually. I talk in the book about the local group that is dedicated to helping people from that prison in Lewisburg uh, do whatever they can to help them with incarceration problems. And inmates did start writing, in en masse, just hundreds of letters were received after that prison program, the experimental prison program opened. And the Friends of Lewisburg, they did their best to help with as many cases as they could, but it's just a small smattering. Most inmates just don't have an outlet to help them advocate.
Is the other part of it too here, Carla, that we don't want to believe them? We believe they've already been judged guilty, so therefore they mean less on the believability scale than we want to give them credit for?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, most people don't want to know what goes on behind prison walls. They have no interest, and society thinks that if they're in there, they're guilty, and whatever happens, they can wash their hands of it. It's just that I'm not sure how to put this. They just don't have a means to the outside world to explain themselves, and this book does that a little bit. I'm hoping.
I'll have a question for you at the end of this that I feel is pretty pertinent based on everything you've seen, without giving away the end of the book, which is interesting. It's a very interesting ending to this book, one that I didn't see coming. I got to tell you, I honestly didn't see coming. Um, let's start with that snowball. There's something interesting here. I believe is it Stephen Tremblay? Because in my family, we pronounce it Tremblay, interestingly enough.
Tremblay, yeah.
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 Believe it or not, Trombleys and Tremblays and everything in North America, everyone is related in one thread or another.
Oh,
And I have Trombleys in my family. So I'm interested to
okay.
know if that Tremblay was related in one way or another as I was reading the book.
Well, I did change some names, so you
Oh,
might be
okay.
disappointed to try to look him up.
Interesting. Okay. Um, but as I'm sitting there reading, first of all, that kind of interestingly enough went through my head. But I know that there was stuff changed too, so I was hanging on to that, but not hanging on to that as I was reading it.
Right.
Um, and I guess we can bring that part up too before I get into this other point, and that is, as I was telling you before the interview, there I was under the impression, and it was a incorrect position I took, that you change names, of course, in this book to protect both the innocent and the guilty. Um, but this is very much a true crime book. I was assuming that this was a novel based on a true crime book, and you were like, "Oh no, 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 no! This everything that happened here was very much true." You changed my perception. I assumed that there was a little bit of quote unquote protection here for the reader, in that maybe there was some padding, if you know what I mean. There was a little bit of space for us to suspend our disbelief. But you're saying, no, 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 everything here happened.
Everything here happened. Yes. And my publisher, Wildbluepress, they were on board with me changing the names of the characters that needed to be changed and changing some locations for the protection of the main characters involved. Um, and that's the padding, I guess, as you put it. I was able to go into my database of transcripts and emails and phone calls and transcripts of the phone calls to recreate the dialogue that you read in the book. So I would say, I think what I said, 98% of the dialogue is based on, some form of documentation that I have. So it all happened.
So knowing that, I think if our listeners and people who are watching the video here know that, and then go in and read this book, they should be absolutely frightened by what's in this book. I mean, I went in thinking there's a little bit of padding, and I use the word padding here pretty liberally, right? Going in thinking, well, I'm sure there's a few things that had to have changed in order to, in order to make a good story, so to speak, or whatever, author's license. Now knowing what I know, holy crap, Carla, right? Um, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here that's beyond disturbing. I mean, just beyond disturbing.
Agreed. And here's a fun fact. When I pitched this book to Wild Blue Press in December of 2023, I had a lot of discussions back and forth with one of the partners of the press, Steve Jackson. And my original thought was to make it more fictionalized. There were a number of things I wanted to change. And Steve was pretty adamant that you cannot call it true crime if you're going to do that. Then it's a fiction story. And they weren't interested in fiction. And he was so right that the book turned out much better the way it came out versus how I was originally thinking I would do it. So something to
Oh,
be said for
it's
that approach.
it is compelling. It's so compelling. And again, like I said, two sittings, and you had me hooked. It was very much that. So I want to get back to the original point here, which was Stephen Tremblay, and you open up with that snowball. He throws it at a guard that obviously there's been this vendetta between the two of them, and it's been ongoing without too much information there about the two of them. Immediately, Stephen Tremblay is taken in and shown, for lack of a better term, a bit of torture called four-pointing. Can you explain to our audience what four-pointing is?
Right. So this four-pointing of Stephen Tremblay occurred at his previous prison at Big Sandy, where he knew of a Lieutenant McDonald, one of the correctional officers there. And Lieutenant McDonald had four-pointed him for some infraction, which was a practice that is outlawed now, but it was very prevalent at the time in some of these federal prisons where they would strap 4 points of a human body, two arms overhead and then the feet on a gurney, and everything is strapped either to the gurney or to a wall, and you can't move. And it is supposed to be for the protection of the inmate, but it's really just a method of, torture and a means of control. So some other things happened to Stephen Tremblay on that gurney besides just being four-pointed that the readers can find out about in the book. But he was triggered when he saw Captain McDonald at his new prison in Lewisburg, because Stephen Tremblay had transferred to Lewisburg, and unbeknownst to Stephen, McDonald transferred, and he actually got a raise and a promotion up to captain. And so when Captain McDonald came to retrieve Stephen from the wreck cage at Lewisburg outside, Stephen was triggered from this prior abuse and just on impulse, picked up some snow from the concrete floor of the cage after, snow had fallen the night before, and threw a snowball at the captain before the captain could react, and the captain fell to the ground, and Stephen proceeded to kick him in the private parts, and all the other inmates were watching on in rec cages up and down the rows and cheering him on. And other COs came to the captain's rescue, and then once the captain kind of got himself together, he subdued Stephen Tremblay on the ground and said in front of a lot of witnesses, "You think you can escape me, boy? Who here can I put you in a rec cage with?" And the meaning was that these rec cages were called thunderdomes at the time. There was like basically gladiator fighting going on sometimes, and sometimes it was set up by the correctional officers if they wanted someone to be punished. And that set the events for the whole entire Odyssey, that snowball fight.
That one snowball. So then we cut to our, I don't know that I call him our hero of the story. I guess he would be our main fulcrum of the story, which would be Kevinsanders, who gets in touch with your friend, Scott Powell, who's your high school friend, who's a lawyer. He's looking for someone to represent him because he gets involved in this story. Interestingly enough, Kevin is in jail because, well, he's at one time or another faced charges. He's in Lewisburg as well. Tell us a little bit about Kevin's background and how he ended up in Lewisburg.
So Kevin was in Allenwood,
I'm sorry,
Pennsylvania, maximum security, and then transferred to Lewisburg.
Mm-hmm.
He had to go to Lewisburg as a life-saving measure because the Hispanic gang that Kevin was part of, the Montanistas, he had fallen out with them because he refused to carry out a hit order by the gang leader. The gang leader wanted Kevin to assault a very good friend of Kevin's, and Kevin refused. And when you disobey a shot caller or a leader of a gang, that puts you in hot water. So he was a wanted man in Allenwood, and the Bureau of Prisons decided to transfer Kevin to Lewisburg as a life-saving measure. They had to move him somewhere. So Kevin ended up in Lewisburg. And when you get to federal prison, you normally assimilate into a race-based gang. Kevin is Caucasian, so he fell under the white supremacists gang members, and the Aryan Brotherhood was like the umbrella organization at Lewisburg. And you fall under these gangs for protection. And you get the protection, but then you also have to do what they say. So this happened to Kevin. He was under the protection of the Aryan Brotherhood. The snowball fight happens with Stephen Tremblay, and the Aryan Brotherhood were very unhappy with Stephen Tremblay for causing some trouble in the housing unit where they were. But Tremblay was having some psychotic episodes because he was denied medication that he needed and denied mental health care. So he caused a lot of trouble in his housing unit, and that irritated the Aryan Brotherhood. So the Aryan Brotherhood, they were mad at Stephen Tremblay. Captain McDonald, who'd had the snowball thrown at him, mad at Stephen Tremblay. The two entities got together and set Stephen Tremblay up in a rec cage with Kevin, who's the inmate I got to know,
Mm-hmm.
and Kevin's roommate, knowing that the Aryan Brotherhood would order them to assault or possibly worse on Stephen Tremblay. And that is the incident that I became aware of Kevin, and how my high school lawyer friend became aware of Kevin. So there was an assault against Stephen Tremblay by Kevin and Kevin's cellmate. And Stephen survived the assault. He went to the hospital with a punctured lung and some other injuries, but he survived. And most all of the damage was done by Kevin's cellmate, who had a shank on him in that wreck cage. It was determined when charges were brought and a video was seen that our client, Kevin, had no knife. He was just making it look good because he knew the Aryan Brotherhood was telling them to assault Stephen Tremblay. So he was making stabbing motions, but there was nothing in his hand. So he was brought up on charges, Kevin was, and my friend from high school, Scott, was his defense attorney, assigned as a public defender. And Scott brought me into the case because he needed a little help, and that's how my journey began with the whole story.
And what's interesting here is that is the explanation, really. And I'll tell you what, we'll take a break here. I want to leave people on this note and get people thinking about this. Kevin has an out as to why he wasn't stabbing Stephen Tremblay, why he was only just punching Stephen Tremblay, and what it was he was reaching for in the cell, because the prosecution says, no, you were reaching for a knife. We have video that shows you reaching for a knife. And it was Scott, your friend Scott Powell, the lawyer in the case, that says, no, he wasn't. He was reaching for something else. And we're going to talk about what it was that Kevin was actually reaching for, which was a little bit disturbing too, because this actually comes up in the court case. We'll talk about that on the backside of this break. My guest is Carla Conti. The book is absolutely phenomenal, folks. You have to read this. It's available by Wildbluepress. We have a link in the description to this program. It's called Chainedbirds, a true crime memoir of justice, survival, and the fight for redemption behind bars. We have a link to it, again, in the description of this program. I encourage you to go get it during the break. When we come back, what was it that Kevin was reaching for when the attack went down on Stephen Tremblay? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the complexities of Kevin Sanders. Why was it that he couldn't get his act straight? What was it about him that made him such a complex person? Because it seemed like he really wanted to get things together, right? And get out of jail and be a free man. But he kept running into troubles in jail. So why? Why was he tripping over himself? We'll talk about that with Carla as well in the second half of this program. Again, Chainedbirds is the name of the book. We have a link to it in the description of this program. We come back more with Carla Conti right here on the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. The book is Chainedbirds, a true crime memoir of justice, survival, and the fight for redemption behind bars. My guest is Carla Conti, the author of this wonderful book. And before the break, we were talking about Kevin Sanders, who is well, let's face it, he's the federal inmate who went through hell and back in this federal prison, who's being accused of stabbing Stephen Tremblay and is going through all this right now. And before the break, we were talking, Carla, about the fact that Stephen may or may not have had a shank while he was stabbing Stephen Tremblay. Now, as your friend Scott Powell, who's representing Kevin, brings up, in we're skipping around a little bit here in the book, but as he brings up in court, Kevin doesn't necessarily have anything. As you brought up, he was just beating him and made it look like he was stabbing him. He said he didn't have anything. But the prosecution says, no, 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 we saw you on video reaching for something, and he was reaching behind him. How does Kevin explain what it was he was reaching for?
So there are things in prison called a kite, Kite, and it is a small piece of paper with written information, what they would call intelligence information, passed back and forth to the gangs, the gang leader, maybe about inmates who are coming and going and charges and this and that, and sensitive, secure information. And Kevin said his job was to be in charge of this kite, which he had to have on his person at all times. And when he realized that the assault and the fight was about to happen in the rat cage with Stephen Tremblay, he took the kite from his shoe and placed it in the back of his shorts into a place that you might be able to guess you could hide contraband.
Mm-hmm.
And that motion of going into the shorts is something that the prosecution pointed out on the video was Kevin retrieving a weapon from that orifice. But that's just absolutely not where inmates keep such sharp things. It's kind of dangerous and counterintuitive. Uh, the weapons, which they would be able to fashion out of plastic, metal, sharpened instruments, would be kept in the front of their boxers, their underwear shorts, attached by a string where they could retrieve them very easily. And what was very common at the time was for these shanks to be made out of plastic because that would pass through a metal detector, which they were often put through metal detectors before going out for rec. So, and his roommate or his cellmate had the plastic shank that delivered all of the blows and the injuries to Stephen Tremblay, and all of those cuts and stab wounds were on the side that his cellmate was fighting him on, and there were no cuts from the side that Kevin was fighting him on. He was just using his fist. And the other reason that Kevin did not have a shank is because his cellmate had the shank, so there was no reason for Kevin to have his own. And also, the cellmate would not have wanted Kevin to have his own shank because the cellmate might worry that Kevin would turn that shank on him. So there were a lot of reasons behind why Kevin did not have this dangerous and illegal weapon.
Right on. All right. So I alluded to this before the break here, Carla, and that's this. Kevin just seemed to be a complex man, much more complex than I would think most inmates in that system would be. I mean, here you have a man who, in one stretch, is as he's getting older throughout the prison system, is painting murals and is into art. And I know throughout your relationship with him, you're sending him books, uh, and all kinds of different books, and he's absorbing everything you're sending him. Yet at the same time, he's not seeming to get out of his own way. I mean, there's a point in the book where prison guards are overturning bunks, and he decides to go and grab loot from the I'm trying to remember what you called him, the guy who has the it's not the shop guy, but is it the shop guy?
Doorman, the
Store
storeman.
man. The store man, that's it. Explain to me that story and who the store man and what it is that Kevin did that is cool but isn't necessarily cool. It's kind of riding that edge.
Right. Well, I've heard from a lot of people that's a favorite scene. I mean, it plays out like a movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and Kevin actually wrote me that story, and my husband read most of the letters that Kevin would send, and my husband just couldn't get over how it sounded on the page, and that's literally how it ended up in the book, the same way. Um, you know, these inmates are bored. So, what's the phrase? Boredom is the mother of invention, or something like that.
Mhm.
Uh, there are often raids that would happen by correctional officers who have to come into the cells and take out whatever contraband they find, either for punishment or just as a routine. And during one such event, the correctional officers gathered all of the contraband in big plastic bags. And midway through their morning of doing this, would leave to take a break or whatever, and they left these black garbage bags in the middle of the hallway with cells on either side. And Kevin had the idea that he would fish that bag over to his cell, which he did with string and a paper clip and a little help from somebody on the other side. He was able to drag that bag to his cell door and fish the things out inside, candy, pornography, which he said was like the real money in any man's prison. Um, all stamps, books of stamps, that's how they pay for things in prison. So he was able to retrieve a lot of these things. And uh, his cell had already been ransacked. So I guess his thinking was they weren't going to come back to ransack his cell again. So he was able to retrieve a lot of the goods from the black garbage bags and hide them. And then he was able to give them back to their proper owners, but, keep a certain percentage for himself. Uh, I don't know if he gambled incorrectly that anything terrible would really happen if he got caught with it. I think they were on lockdown at the time, and if he got sent to a solitary cell, I think his explanation was, well, he would have a shower there at least, whereas they weren't even allowed out for showers at the time. So this is just what happens.
So there he is acting up. There's another example of where he's sent to the hole or to the shoe, where he decides, well, after an incident, he decides he's going to take his bandages and put them over his eyes for a week and experiment being blind. And the the guards are miffed. They're just miffed at the fact that he he's pretending that he's blind and won't take these bandages off his eyes.
Yeah, he goes through an experiment in blindness and being mute, uh, because he was mad at uh, an incident that had just happened where somebody on the tier in this other prison he had been sent tried to kill him. And he had warned the guards. The guards were apparently aware of this, but the incident was allowed to happen anyway. So, for his protection, he was sent to a solitary cell. And he was, it was a way to express his autonomy, really. And it wasn't harmful to anybody, but the guards were very perplexed why he walked around for an entire week with bandages on his eyes, pretending to be blind. And then for another week, he wouldn't speak to anybody. He was pretending to be mute, or just to see what that was like. And uh, yeah, that's how he passed the time and how he tried to claim his own autonomy, I would say.
What's interesting to me, Carla, and again, without we're trying to be spoiler free here in the book, it seems to me for a man wanting to be free so badly and trying to find different appeals and trying to get through the system, trying to get legally free and trying to appeal in court, the man certainly didn't want to play the system or play the game. I mean, he wasn't trying to buddy up to COs. He wasn't trying to make friends. He wasn't trying to get to know the warden. He wasn't trying to work the system inside the prison system. If anything, he was a bit adversarial. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, when he was in the federal prisons, I think that's an accurate description. But you'll recall that he did a stretch of time at a local county jail while he was waiting uh, during the trial and sentencing, and that was a whole different story. And the way he was treated was so much better. He was treated with respect and given, more freedoms than he had in the federal system. He was able to use his artistic ability, which you had mentioned, in painting murals on the jail wall and things like that. So in the county prison system, it was very different. And I think his behavior reflected how he was treated. But then into the federal system, the way you described it, yeah, that's pretty accurate. But he didn't end up getting any additional time added on because of those attitudes and the way he, played the game, so to speak. He was just surviving and being true to himself, I guess.
Would you say that's a matter of respect given is respect earned, or respect earned is respect given? Is
Oh,
that how we
it's a
operate?
circle. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a circle. In fact, that was one of the phrases that he painted on the prison doorway headers. Respect is earned on both sides of this door. So, you know,
Yeah.
the COs appreciate being respected, and when they, treat with humanity and kindness when it's deserving to the inmates, that treatment goes back to them. So,
He's a very interesting study in this book in disciplines and what you can do within a system and what happens when the discipline disappears. I mean, without getting too spoilerish, but he really does see both sides of it. You mentioned in his time with the Montanistas that they're a drug-free group, that they're very structured, and he took to that like a duck to water. And at one point, he's showing some of the inmates within the system how to live drug-free, how to exercise, how to be a model prisoner. Yet at times, he himself goes off that rail. Why do you suppose he says and does one thing and then lives a different standard by himself?
why do any of us? Don't we all act in a gray manner sometimes, right? Uh, he did almost thrive in the Allenwood prison when he was part of the Montanista group, where he had a pretty high level of running the yard for that group. Uh, he, like you said, took like a duck to water to all of their uh, adherences. You have to stay fit. You can't do drugs or drink the prison wine or whatever. And he has been charismatic and a natural leader all his life. So whatever facility he was, excuse me, sent to, people gravitated to him, and he just found himself the leader of a group wherever he ended up going. And then it's not a spoiler to say he does eventually leave prison, and I maintained contact with him. It's hard to transition to the outside world, especially if you don't have the backing of halfway houses and uh, good education and training programs to help you. And those were all completely lacking or missing for his release. So without having the support of, family, etc., to be released to the outside world with nothing is very precarious, very challenging state to be in and try to navigate. And so uh, I'm sure it's not just Kevin, but for a lot of other people, they might fare better in prison than in the outside.
And his release came up against a period where we were in COVID, we were in lockdown. So there were a lot of services and whatnot that should have been available to him that weren't during that time because of that, correct?
Exactly, right. The halfway houses were closed. I mean, he ended up serving all of his sentence in his last federal prison, and he should have been allowed to serve at least a year, maybe even 18 months in a halfway house program prior to leaving, which would have really helped with the transition. That, you know, there would have been job placement and uh, addiction and substance abuse training and support and things that just weren't available to him that should have been, because he did have an addiction history of his initial 10-year federal prison charge. Uh, didn't stem from making methamphetamine in a camper on his father's auto body shop property. It could have or should have, but what sent him to prison was being in possession of a firearm, and he had already been a felon. So it was this gun charge that sent him to prison, but he did have this history of methamphetamine manufacturing and addiction. So that's the kind of thing that followed him all his life. And it is possible to get substances in prison, and they make prison wine. And, you know, so that kind of treatment should have been available to him and maybe would have changed the outcome.
One of the things that's brought up in the book, which is one of the things that's now being brought to the forefront, I think to everybody's forefront that they're being aware of, is drugs that are actually being put on documents. Suboxone was one of the ones that was put on documents that I don't think is as much of a shock to people in 2025 as it would have been even 4 years ago. But putting, drugs on documents and then being passed between potential attorney clients, so to speak, or somewhat attorney clients, or whoever it is that's visiting somebody. Like, say, a visitor shows up to see an inmate, and they pass papers between the two. Um, the fact that a liquid drug could be put on a paper and passed to an inmate to be given to an inmate, I think blows people's minds. I know, to me, to read that in your book and for it to still be put on a page and to think that that could be passed that way still blows my mind a little.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Suboxone is a drug prescribed by physicians to help people get off of opioid addiction, but you know, it still has its own method of, you know, altering your state of mind, getting high in some regard. And I don't know if this is still done, but at the time I wrote about it, um, the corners of legal documents would be dipped in this Suboxone liquid, and it would be dried. And I think the corner is as big as your pinky fingernail. And the inmates would cut those up into tiny little pieces, and you suck on it, and you know, you get whatever high you can out of it. And it was a whole industry for some inmates to, you know, get money to put on their books and or trade things back and forth. Uh, very shocking to hear. But again, necessity is the mother of invention. Uh,
That it is.
they figure it out.
That it is. It seems like there's this, like you said, there's this need to continue to numb the pain of being in your current circumstance, and they'll find a way, whether it be toilet wine or whatever it is, to try and get through the pain of being there for long stints of time. And
Yes.
yeah, and just it's just another method of trying to get whatever they can while they're there, which is almost sad. I mean, not that we're supposed to, not that they've done anything, wonderful to get there. Don't get me wrong. But it's, the trying to think of what I'm trying to say here, Carla, and that it's this cycle that you don't know where you're supposed to land on this, right? I mean, in one part, this is a human being that's in a cage, right? And you should feel something for a human being in a cage. Yet on the other side, it's a human being in a cage that's done a terrible thing. Yet we're supposed to be rehabilitating this human being, right? We're supposed to be getting them to a point where they're supposed to be a functioning member of society. Yet what are we doing for that human being to get them there? How is putting them in that cage for a long period of time rehabilitating them to make them a functioning member of society?
Right. Well, the Lewisburg Special Management Unit was designed for the so-called worst of the worst, the gang bangers, the murderers, the rapists, but many people who don't fall into that category were also sent to that prison, and that included Kevin. Like I said, he was in on a gun charge. He only had 3 years left to serve before the recreational cage assault with Stephen Tremblay, set him back a number of years again. And he, so our system is based primarily on retribution here in the US, with federal prisons in particular. And the model that really could and should be followed is the way it's being done in Western Europe and in the Nordic countries. In particular, it's much more focused on rehabilitation, like what you said. And the sentences are shorter, they have more support, they have more programs, ways of transitioning to help them, and the recidivism rate is so much lower. So really, if we can implement some of these things in our country, it's the inmates don't return to prison at the same rate, and it's cheaper. I mean, our taxpayer dollars are funding, these sentences that just go on and on forever. I know not all prison systems in our US are like this. There are county jails and prisons and state prisons, and some of them do a much better job. My familiarity was just with the federal prison system as regards to what Kevin experienced. But we have a lot of work to do, and things could be better if we could just focus on rehabilitation more than the retribution part.
I want to switch gears just for a moment here before we wrap up today. And I want to focus a little bit on the personal side of chain birds. And there's a reason why it's chain birds plural and not chain bird singular, not talking just about Kevin. And you talk about the different personal side of things. You talk about the Diners Club, which is a club that you formed with people in high school. And you also talk a bit about another lawyer that you brought in, Jack, to help with the case that helped with the case with you and Scott. I'm going to ask you about a parallel that may be drawn here that maybe you put in there purposely, maybe you didn't put in there purposely throughout the book. And I want to ask you if this was put in there on purpose or not. And that's this. Throughout the book, as it seems like things are starting to spiral out of control with Kevin, things are kind of spiraling out of control in everybody's lives. Is that a purposely put narrative, or was that just the way things were happening in everybody's life?
That really is just the way it played out. I mean, I told the story chronologically, and as Kevin was getting ready to be released after we had gone through, the trial and an appeal and etc., we had a lot of upheaval in our country politically. And Scott and I have always been polar opposites politically, but somehow maintained a friendship. And that friendship was strained during in 2021, in particular, January 6th. I can leave it to the readers to find out what happened on that day to create a real rift between Carla and Scott. And yeah, it was just turmoil in everybody's lives. And I think it was coincidence and just the sign of the times that it happened to all of us at the same time.
It's it's I mean, it's heartbreaking to see, and again, we can leave it for people to read the book, that there's these different pieces in your life, Carla, that I mean, you see the lights going out, one after another, and that's the only way to put it. You see the lights going out one after another, and you go, "Oh, not another one." Right?
Right. Well, and so that's just the almost a side political component of it. The larger component of things spiraling out were was the information that came to us through Kevin that perhaps Scott's and my lives were in danger because of our association with him, due to things that happened after his release.
Mhm.
That was very scary. Um, and changed us, I think, in a way, and made me in particular not sure if it was a good idea to be associated with a writing project that would, reveal these truths, especially if, one or two gangs on the outside were not happy about hearing that a book was going to be written because Kevin had made it known to people that, hey, someone's going to write a book about me. And there were people that didn't want that to happen. And then to hear that, wow, maybe our lives are in danger. Yeah, that all coalesced at the same time. And it was frightening.
Other than frightening, what other emotions are going through you, and what other thoughts are going through you when you're told your life may be in danger, and maybe all because you just had the thought of putting a book out there, and even now you're double clutching and thinking maybe I don't want to put it out there.
Yeah. Well, my initial thought was, oh, I'm not writing this book. There is no way I'm writing this book. And Scott understood, and we agreed to just not even think about that as a project, but just still try to be an advocate for Kevin and help him uh, through his transition to the outside world. And when enough time went by and the embers seemed to cool a little bit, I felt a little more confident that I could tell this story, especially if I was able to change some names and some locations. My greatest fear was a worry for Kevin that I would lead people who wished him harm to him by writing this book. So being able to change some locations and names made me feel better about that. And he always wanted this story to be told. So I felt like I was following through on an obligation. And it was also a measure of closure for me to finally put this Odyssey into print. So there were a lot of reasons that it finally came together in the end, and it seemed like it was okay to do.
Why do you feel he needed the story to be told? Was it a matter of narcissism, or was it a matter of pride? Do you feel like there was a certain amount of pride in his story that he needed it to be told, or necessity?
I think he wanted the truth of the underbelly of federal prison to come out, how he was treated, how he saw other inmates being treated, how people don't really know what goes on in federal prison unless you have an inside source who's going to tell you some of these stories. And I think that instinct has always been spot on because, as I say in the book, I give lots of credit to the Marshall Project and NPR for coming in and writing about the Lewisburg prison program and really helping it eventually get shut down by bringing the publicity to it. So I think for those reasons, mostly is why he wanted that story told.
Fair enough. And that's an excellent reason to want to put it out there. Um, Now I'll ask you kind of a odd question, and that's this. Would it have been worth both your life and Scott's life to put that information out?
Jury's still out on that, Tim. I don't know.
Yeah.
Scott and I only somewhat jokingly have discussions about, was this a good idea to write this book? He thinks it was. Um, I feel pretty good about it being out there. And like I said, enough time has gone by. You know, the more time between me and the incidents where we were told our lives were in danger, the more time that goes by, I feel better about it still. And I console myself with still feeling like I'm a nobody all the way over on the East Coast, where away from the elements that, in theory, wished me harm. So um, I think it's worth it.
One last one here, Carla. Uh, Besides blowback from gangs, are you worried about any potential blowback from government as far as this goes?
That's a good question. Others have asked something similar. All I've written is the truth. Truth is a defense, usually in any kind of lawsuit. I think anybody who would want to claim to be some of the characters who are disparaged, why would they want to claim to be those characters? I've changed names, but it would be against their own best wishes to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm actually so and so in that book, right? So I'm not concerned about it. And my publisher understood these risks and they're not concerned about it. So, and I have the receipts. I have all the documentation.
Okay.
So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, the book is a wonderful one, folks. It is called Chainedbirds, a true crime memoir of justice, survival, and the fight for redemption behind bars. It'll curl your hair if you even have any. I don't have any, but you can tell this one right here is curled tightly after reading this book. It is shocking. There are parts of it that are horrifying. There are parts of it that are uh, plain. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, Carla, other than eye-opening. I think eye-opening is a good way of putting it. I'm glad you had the courage to put it out. I'll say that. I'll leave it with that. So thank you so much for having the courage to strike forward and put this out there.
well, thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you for being on the program. Folks, it's time now for us to lighten things up a bit. It's time now for us to bring in Jessicafreeburg, and it's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time, the time you've all been looking forward to. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. And with that, we bring in our co-hostess. She's witty, she's intelligent, she's brilliant, she's funny, and she's pretty good looking on the eyes. Not only that, she has count them, three books right now that the Hindustan Times tells me have exploded up the charts and not only sit at the number one position for the last few months, but they've made the gold star ranking of the Hindustan Times. I have no idea what that means, but evidently now you are a deity, Jess. Jessicafreeburg. Jess, congratulations for being a deity in the Hindustan Times rankings over there. I have no idea what that means.
Thank you, sir. I've always felt like a deity, so it's nice to be acknowledged as one.
Oh, there you go. I have no idea what it
No,
means.
it's not true. I don't feel like a deity. Most of the days I'm just like, okay, I'm alive. I'm breathing. It's good. It's a good day.
You don't consider yourself a goddess amongst your family?
You are what you claim to be. I'm a goddess. You're a god. Let's just roll with it.
Yeah, let's roll with it. Why not? Sure, sure. We could do that. Boy, oh boy, do we have some stories coming up today, Jess. Amongst others, we have a whole slew of department store no-nos. We've got that coming
Ooh.
up. Yeah, that's coming up today. We have a huge not safe for work section today. I don't know what it is about cold weather, but it gets people randy. We'll deal with that on the backside here today. And then our palate cleanser, if you want to call it that, well, let's just put it this way, has to do with a grandma finally getting her thug on.
Ooh, another non-cleansing palate cleanser. I love those.
Well, it's a sweet and innocent, not so sweet and innocent palate cleanser.
Especially if it involves a grandma. I'm here for it.
Yeah. Well, we all gotta get our ire up, and we all gotta live on the wild side eventually.
Yeah, I think we should just do that until the very last breath.
Well, it took this woman a while to do it, but she just decided, I'm going to do it finally. We'll tell you how long it took this woman to finally decide she was going to live on the wild side. That's coming up at the very end of the program.
Can't wait.
There you go. But first, we're going to detour a little bit off of Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals to tell you this story, which came out last week. A historian claims to have found the DNA that identifies Jack the Ripper.
What? That would be amazing.
Yeah. And he says it points right back to Aaron Kosminski.
Ooh.
Yeah. A historian said the identity of notorious killer Jack the Ripper has been confirmed over 136 years after the murders were committed. Now, why does it matter? Well, Jack the Ripper has maintained public interest even over a century after his alleged crimes. The suspected killer has yet to be identified by law enforcement officials. During an interview with the Australian Today show, historian Russell Edwards identified the killer as Aaron Kosminski, a 23-year-old barber at the time of the murders. Kosminski, a Polish immigrant, was previously considered a suspect in the case. An 1894 memorandum written by Sir Melville, I believe this is McNaughton, the assistant chief constable of the London Metropolitan Police, names Kosminski, no first name included, as one of the suspects. Kosminski was reportedly identified using DNA evidence from a shawl found at the scene of one of the murders, which we've talked about over and over again on this show. Descendants of the suspect and a victim assisted in the investigation, according to Edwards. DNA studies linking Kosminski to the murders have received criticism for a lack of peer review and inability to produce original data. Jack the Ripper was an unidentified suspected serial killer active in 1888. The killer is accused of cutting victims' throats before performing abdominal mutilations. Now, Jack the Ripper is believed to have killed at least 5 women. Those 5 victims are Marianne Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine and Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. They were all killed in London in 1888. Those murders, by the way, never solved. Jack the Ripper's cause of death is unverified. Kosminski, by the way, died in a mental institution in 1919. So if Kosminski really was Jack the Ripper, you know his end.
Yeah. I mean, the evidence does really point that way. There's been multiple, I want to say, studies done that have kind of linked back to him. They keep coming back to him as a very viable suspect. So really cool if the DNA really does link to him.
Indeed. Edwards said a letter has been sent to the Attorney General requesting permission to go to the High Court and initiate the legal process to reopen the case in this. He says, we now know the name and we've placed the murderer at the murder scene, Edwards said. Now we want it to be public knowledge, though, accepted by the courts. Interestingly enough. So I've always heard there wasn't enough DNA on the. Now, keep in mind, we have touch DNA now, which is much more sensitive. So maybe they use touch DNA and just a little bit of what was salvageable off the shawl, because we've always heard there hasn't been enough. That there was DNA there, but it was never enough. And now there's just enough on that shawl, and it's caught up with technology that they can positively confirm that it's Kosminski.
And to have that case actually be solved would be the coolest.
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? But then again, a good lawyer supposedly can get you off. So maybe it's just, it could be argued that maybe Kosminski was just in that sphere of influence, and maybe that blood that's on that shawl is of Kosminski from Jack the Ripper, and maybe Jack the Ripper isn't Kosminski. You can cause
Yeah.
that anywhere, Jess.
All kinds of little loopholes you could dive through.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, we jump into the dumb and stupid, the dumb crime, stupid criminals. And of course, to do that, we have to take a little trip to Florida. We always do. We're going to Vero Beach, where a woman has fired a BB gun at two teens riding their dirt bikes, because we have to start it off stupid.
Come on, lady.
It's the 2025 version of Get Off My Lawn.
At least it's just a BB gun. I mean,
Well, I've told this story before on the show about my sniper days with a BB gun.
yes.
Yeah, I regret it now.
Yeah.
My Lee Harvey Oswald from the
Your stupid criminal days.
my stupid criminal days. A Vero Beach woman was arrested for firing a BB gun at two teens riding their dirt bikes near her home on Wednesday. Indian River County Sheriff's deputies responded to a disturbance call at 20th Place and 6th Avenue Southwest around 5:45 p.m. Deputies located the two teens, who told them that they were riding past a house. They saw 42-year-old Victoria Lund standing outside pointing a BB gun in their direction. They then heard two loud bangs. I've never heard a BB gun go bang.
Wow, bangs? What kind of BB gun was she holding?
I've
Not
heard
a
it
Red
go.
Ryder.
I've heard it go. I've never heard it go bang.
Weird.
Yeah. Sorry for the sound effect there, but that's how I've heard it go. They then heard two loud bangs, which they assumed were BBs fired from her gun. Neither BB pellet hit the teens or their bikes. So she's a horrible shot. That's, I think, what we learned from this story. However, the teens told the deputies that they were confused and didn't understand what was going on, and they felt scared. They should, because BB guns don't go bang.
Some of those fancy muzzleloader kinds.
Yes, yes, from the 1700s. Yeah,
Yes.
where you had to pack the BB shot in. Wait, that's a bad. If you're watching on video, that's a bad motion for me to make. One of the teens took a video of the incident that appeared to show Lund standing in her front yard yelling at the teens, "Go home right now." When deputies contacted Lund, she admitted to holding the BB gun on the teens to scare them off, but denied firing the weapon. She said they were driving recklessly back and forth in front of her house. A deputy then entered her home where he retrieved a BB gun with pellets inside of it. Deputies charged her with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and 2 counts of child abuse. Now, again, pellets don't go bang.
No, that's very weird. But maybe they hit something. Like maybe they heard the bang of them hitting something metal. I don't know. It's the only thing I can come up with.
Unless she fired at them with a different weapon and subbed it out for a BB gun when the cops got there, because she didn't want a felony.
Yikes. Either way, don't shoot at children. I mean,
that's just. All right, we got a couple of stories here which take place in 2 different department stores. We're going to set a precedent here, Jess. Everyone thinks there's no way I could do anything in this world that would get me banned from Walmart for life, from every single Walmart in the country.
Oh man, it has to be bad.
Oh, no. You can be. And this woman has proven to everyone that it can be possible. Not only that, but if you believe you can achieve, Jess, and she's achieved. This woman's been banned from every Walmart location in the United States, according to the company who's issued a statement. In other words, they want it to be known. Like Sam Walton and everybody got up and said, "Hear ye, hear ye. This woman doth be banned from Walmart."
You know, there's a big poster with her face on it in the back for the loss prevention team.
Oh, I think there's a big poster for everybody. They have her mugshot. She looks incredibly happy for someone who's been banned from Walmart. I mean, this is pretty much Look at, she's all, yay, look at me. I'm
Yeah, look at her. She looks really stoked.
Yeah, she's entirely way too excited for someone who's been banned from every Walmart in the
She's
country.
like, look, Ma, I did it.
Yeah, yeah. An alleged serial shoplifter was banned from every Walmart location in the United States. It can happen. According to WREG, citing the Memphis Police Department, 37-year-old Ashley Cross. She's so young for being banned from every Walmart in the U.S. 37-year-old Ashley Cross was banned from every Walmart location across the country due to her reported history of taking products from the business without paying. That's how you get it done, Jess.
Yep.
Yeah. Authorities responded to a Walmart on Elvis Presley Boulevard in Memphis, Tennessee. Of course, there's one there. Around 3:40 p.m. to investigate a report of shoplifting. Upon arriving at the scene, officers were informed of two women who were stealing from the business, one of whom was Cross. Memphis police told WREG reporters that Cross was a well-known shoplifter, adding that she had been caught on camera utilizing an old watch barcode battery to scan multiple items for $1 at a self-checkout machine.
Wow. Who knew you could do that?
She's got a system.
Yeah, she does.
She's got it down.
Do you think she's like singing Jailhouse Rock in her head while she's doing this?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Because that's where she's headed. Reports obtained by the outlet show Cross allegedly stole the following. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
You're going to be amazed at how little she went for. 11 packs of ramen noodles.
They're like 79 cents.
Right. Right. Jeans, a t-shirt, and boots.
That's it?
That's it. The station reported that the cost of the merchandise, you want to play prices right with me on those items alone? How much do you think?
Okay.
They total?
I'm thinking in my head, totaling it up. It has to be, I mean, not more than $50 or much more.
A little bit higher inflation here.
Okay. 75?
$137.34.
Oh, wow. I'm surprised.
She must have got the good ramen.
Maybe ramen noodles are more expensive than I remember. Maybe I'm thinking college prices, and that was like 30 years ago.
I think maybe, yeah. They might be, well, 11 packs of ramen noodles. It might have been the big packs.
Oh, the cases.
Yeah, it might have been cases.
Yeah, maybe the boots were real leather. I don't know.
At Walmart?
Walmart has some cute clothes.
They were real Naugahyde, probably. The second woman was also captured on security cameras using the same barcode to ring up her items for $1. You know, sharing is caring.
Yeah.
She was accused of taking 2 bras, a lash kit, a backpack, and a car accessory, which totaled $57.86. She was a bargain.
All right. It was right on for her.
Yeah, you were. And was given a misdemeanor citation for theft of property. According to the citation, Cross is on the authorization of agency list. You never want to be on this one. Which means she is not permitted to enter any Walmart store in the country due to alleged previous shoplifting incidents. She's on the list.
That's a bad list to be on.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Walmart has issued the following statement. We value our customers and associates and want them to have a pleasant shopping experience. Though rare, there are instances where someone is no longer welcome in our stores, such as Miss Ashley. Cross was charged with the following. Per the station, criminal trespass and theft of merchandise less than $1,000. She was taken to jail and held on a $7,500 bond.
Stop it. That's crazy. Remember that lady who like neglected her kids and she was drunk? And that was like $5,000 bond.
Yeah.
This isn't right.
Walmart's not playing with her.
I guess.
You're on a list. I mean, Walmart has their own terrorist list across the nation. She's on it. Right. That's crazy. For something even crazier, Jess, we go across the aisle to Target.
Oh, I love Target.
Yeah. Attention, Target shoppers. There's a state police trooper banned from Target after allegedly shoplifting over a dozen items.
What? A state trooper?
A state trooper. We go to the Boston area. where the trooper was accused of stealing more than $1,000 worth of merchandise from Target stores.
Whoa.
Well, they do have some good merchandise, I'm not going to lie. Yeah. Turns out that a Massachusetts state trooper was behind this. A Massachusetts state police trooper who allegedly stole from Target over a dozen times was ordered on Thursday to stay away from all Target locations. That's right, he got banned from all Target locations. Zachariah Kent, who was suspended without pay last year, allegedly repeated shoplifting at Target by skip scanning items, meaning that he would pay for some merchandise at self-checkout while passing others around the scanner. So scan one, the other one goes around. Scan one, goes
Oh,
around. See? Ingenious.
no, you're supposed to uphold the law, sir, not break it.
In a statement shared with Boston.com last year following Kent's suspension, a spokesperson for the state police said the department does not tolerate theft or dishonesty and holds its members accountable to the highest professional standards. While these troubling allegations came to our attention, the department immediately relieved the accused trooper of duty and opened an internal affairs investigation and suspended him without pay following his duty status hearing, the spokesperson said. Kent is a suspect in 23 shoplifting cases, in addition to 11 instances at a Target located at 70 Worcester Providence Turnpike in Millbury. 11 instances at one Target.
And that's just the ones they know about.
That's right. That, according to court documents, where he allegedly skip scanned. Are you ready for this, Jess? If you thought the last one was light, this sheriff's deputy has a heavy hand. How much do you think he got in one take? I'm sorry, this isn't one take. This is 11 instances. How much?
Okay, all of them together.
How much do you think in 11 instances?
Well, I think you said the one was like was it $1,000 for the one? No.
No. For the one at Walmart?
No. Didn't you mention the price already? Am I losing my mind? Is it $1,000?
It's close for the 11. For the 11, it's $847.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Wow, that's a lot.
yeah. So, but what do you think? What do you suppose he's get? Well, I mean, there's a lot to get at Target, right? I mean, he's
And
probably getting.
why? Like, why do you do that? Like, I don't think it's because he can't afford to pay for it. I mean, he's a state trooper. He makes decent money. It has to be like a thrill thing, like getting away with it.
Well, but if he's on leave and he's not being paid, if he's on unpaid leave, I'm not sure if he's on unpaid leave or not here, but if he's on unpaid leave, then he's obviously not got any income coming in. Then, he
That's true.
might be skimping, or if he has just a little bit in savings, and he's stretching the dollar, so to speak.
Yikes. I can't imagine. I'd feel so guilty. You would just be able to look at me and know I was doing something bad because the look of shame would just be oozing out of me. I'd be a bad criminal, Tim.
I would have that look too. I don't think I could, when I was young, I think we all have our little bits and pieces when we're young, right? Where we
Yeah.
do a little naughty thing.
Yeah.
I learned when I was very, very young. I stole a pack of Kiss cards. Remember the Kiss
Oh.
trading cards?
Yeah.
And I got caught by the pharmacist at Snyder Drugs.
Oh, no.
I got home and then I got my behind whooped.
Yeah.
I won't say with what, but I got it whooped pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I learned my lesson right then and there.
That'll teach you.
Yeah. So that was, but the whole reason I got caught is because, I was horrible at it. And I think I did it right in front of the pharmacist. So yeah, he knew right away. And two, I had that guilty look on my face that I know I'm going to do it. I know I'm going to do it, but I can't get caught, but I'm going to do it, but I got to do it. And yeah. And so
Yeah.
I got caught.
I would have the same look. We'd be bad criminals, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, not everyone's cut out for it, but
No.
with this cop, I suppose he thought, well, what are they going to do? I'm a Massachusetts state trooper.
Yeah.
Then
I think you're in even more trouble if you're doing bad things and you've sworn an oath to protect and defend and uphold the law.
Well, I mean,
But
it's one of those things, right? Where some people think because they're part of the law, they're above the law, right?
that's true. Hard to say what motivates people.
That's true. Let's see here. Kent was also identified as a suspect of 3 shoplifting cases at a Target in Worcester, located at 529 Lincoln Street. On April 17th of 2024, okay, I can't feel sorry for him because I got deeper into the story. You ready for this, Jess? Kent allegedly
Yes.
bought 3 packs of golf balls at the Worcester Target self-checkout. So he's not struggling for food. He's buying golf balls.
Yeah. He's just getting a kick out of it.
Yeah, yeah. He went to scan one of the packs and went foregoing scanning the other 2, according to a report from the Target Assets Protection Specialist. Kent allegedly stole a pack of golf balls the next day and another pack on June 6th. He has a golf ball problem.
He's just stealing golf, and golf balls are kind of pricey.
Oh, they're very pricey. Yeah. But still, I mean, come on. The total amount for the stolen golf balls has amounted to $204.96, according to documents. Yeah, they're a little pricey. I wonder if they're tight.
Yeah, I'd have more empathy if he's like loaf of bread, cheese, milk, like he's just trying to get by. But golf balls, come on.
Yeah, I'd feel for him if they were groceries, but
Yeah.
come on. Golf balls?
And he's gonna go golfing. So he has enough money. Like golfing is an expensive sport.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you got to have a little bit of cash in order to do that, especially in the regular. If you're losing that many balls, maybe you should pay for lessons. Just, yeah. Or get one of those little spy glasses so you can find your ball. Maybe steal one of those. That might help. Our next story has to do with a fingerprint on a goldfish package, which landed an accused robber behind bars.
Oh, like the crackers? Goldfish crackers?
Yeah. Are you a big fan of the goldfish crackers?
Well, I did used to like them. Then I read this book called Good Health or Good Energy, and now I can't eat anything that's processed without feeling like I'm killing myself.
Oh, really? Oh, do tell. Give us the abridged version.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, it's a really good book, Good Energy. It's by a doctor, and basically everything that's been processed in the United States is, a pathway to death and illness. So, yeah. So now I'm like, I kind of joke. I read this great book and it ruined my life. Because I just can't eat anything.
Huh.
My daughter turned 15 today as we're recording, and she had friends sleep over and they got a big thing of cheese balls. And when they brought it out to the cars, in my heart started beating fast. I'm like, that looks delicious, but I can't eat it because it's gonna kill me.
The big tub of death. Did you scream that as they brought it out to the car? Big tub of death!
Just in my head, just internally, I'm like, I'm not gonna ruin their lives. They might as well just eat what they like.
Did you give her a copy of that book for her birthday?
No.
Say happy birthday, kid.
But she does notice I'm cooking differently.
See. Well, that's not a bad thing. If you give them the idea is you give them the building blocks, you set an example for them, and then if they take that example with them.
Yeah. But I used to love goldfish and now I don't.
Oh, well. Well, using a fingerprint lifted off of a goldfish package, cops identified and arrested a man for hitting a female Family Dollar manager in the face with the crackers.
What?
Yes, when she confronted him about stealing from the retailer.
I didn't know they could be a weapon.
Oh, they are a little stiff when you put them in a package. I mean, just
that would hurt.
Oh, but cops alleged that Michael Gonzalez, who is known as Gizmo, I think because if you look at him, I mean, especially if you look at him in the eye, he does kind of look like the gremlin.
Oh, he looks rough. Is that a tattoo between his eyes?
Yes, it is. Here, let's blow it up.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, he looks like the kind of guy who might hit you in the face with some goldfish crackers.
Yes, he does.
Or fist or crowbar.
Yeah, he has the typical jail tattoos.
Yeah, he looks rough.
He does look rough. He's got a lot of gang tattoos there. He's got one that says Sulphur Springs there. I think that's probably where he was born. He's got right across his collarbone. Got a whole bunch of. It looks like he might have a satanic tattoo too there. Just saying. I don't think
Oh.
Gizmo's a nice guy. Just saying.
Oh, Gizmo was the mommy though. Gizmo was the nice one.
Supposedly, yeah. This Gizmo. Gizmo struck believe it or not, the 65-year-old victim after walking out of the Florida business with approximately $50 worth of cleaning supplies and a box of goldfish crackers. Gizmo, not the nice one in this story. Just saying.
No.
The victim cops say approached Gonzalez as he handed the stolen goods to a passenger in a vehicle parked in front of the Gulfport store. Upon being challenged by the woman, 29-year-old Gonzalez allegedly hit her in the face with the goldfish crackers, causing a small cut under her lip. Gonzalez was arrested for the strong-arm robbery, a felony in connection with the September 2024 goldfish incident. He was in custody Thursday for a prior alleged robbery during which he stole a skateboard from a man who he punched, bit, and stabbed in the face and head.
Stop. Are you kidding?
I think he's got a little problem with violence.
Yeah, I think he's not a nice guy.
No.
I think the lady got off easy with the goldfish crackers.
I think his problem, he keeps getting wet. Just saying. Yeah.
And eating after midnight.
Eating after midnight. Yeah. It's those goldfish crackers. That's the problem. Shown surveillance images from Family Dollar, Gonzalez, who has several distinctive tattoos, including one between his eyes, reportedly admitted to cops he was the individual in the photos. Throughout the interview, police noted Gonzalez stated that this was petty and that he should just get time served. A judge apparently disagreed with that and set Gonzalez's bond at $30,000 for the two pending felony robbery cases.
I actually love that.
Yeah, it's about time a judge do something
Yeah.
in the right. Locked up in the county jail, Gonzalez is familiar with such accommodations. His rap sheet includes convictions for theft, trespass, robbery, cocaine possession, disorderly conduct, and attempted armed robbery. In addition to various jail sentences, Gonzalez has served nearly 2 years in state prison, according to records. So he's back where he belongs. Imagine that.
Yeah. And he'll probably be back again, sadly.
Probably. This next story is a little disturbing. In fact, I may give this one to Mally again tomorrow. You may hear this one twice this week. Just saying. Because it comes from her neck of the woods. A northern Michigan man tried to get into a morgue using a trooper's business card.
What did he want to get in there for?
Oh,
Don't tell me he wants to have sex with corpses.
well, wow, you just went there.
Like, that's always what happens when you tell me these stories.
I didn't say not safe for work yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I did. You jumped the gun on me here, Jess. Wow, you went naughty on me all of a sudden.
Sorry. I've been traumatized by all the other stories you told me about these freaks.
I guess, right? No, I didn't yell not safe for work.
All right. Sorry, guys. I jumped the gun. Okay, clearly he just wants to see his grandma.
Now you're making me think about things. I'm like, am I in not safe for work territory yet? I'm double checking my stories here.
Sorry,
Oh,
Tim.
no, we're still a couple stories away. Okay.
Okay.
Woo! A northern Michigan man is facing abuse charges after the death of his wife, but officials are seeking a charge for a crime they say took place after the fact, trying to impersonate a trooper to gain access to the morgue. In June of 2024, Michigan State Police troopers were called to a report of two people squatting at a cabin they did not own in Otsego County. That, according to Michigan State Police news release on X, formerly known as Twitter. Police determined that a couple, a 74-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman, were homeless and living at the cabin without permission. That, according to state police. As troopers interviewed the wife, they realized she had extensive bruising and was having difficulty breathing. That, according again to police. She was taken to a local hospital and then transferred to one in Traverse City due to the severity of her injuries. While she was hospitalized, the wife told troopers that her husband had been abusing her. Michigan State Police Specialist Lieutenant Derek Carroll went on to quote that. She died about a week and a half later. Carroll declined to release the wife's cause of death. It was after her death that the husband reportedly tried to get into the morgue in Traverse City. The man showed up at the morgue and when asked who he was, presented the business card that the trooper had given him during the cabin investigation. That, according to Carol. The man also said he was a trooper. Bizarre.
Yeah.
Security guards were called to take the man into the morgue, but they sensed something was wrong, Carol said. The husband was not given access. Carol said he could not speak to the man's motivation for attempting to get into the morgue. A warrant was issued in July of 2024 for the impersonation case, according to Grand Traverse County District Court records. After a lengthy investigation, another warrant was issued last month out of Otsego County, according to Michigan State Police. The man was arrested in Oakland County during a traffic stop for speeding. The man was arraigned Monday in Otsego County 87A District Court on charges of aggravated domestic violence, first-degree vulnerable adult abuse, breaking and entering, and squatting, according to Otsego County court records. He was given a $50,000 cash surety bond in the abuse case and is scheduled to appear in court again next week in both that matter and the squatting case. The warrant for impersonating a police officer is pending in Grand Traverse County and is not immediately clear when further action will be taken. An attorney for the man declined to comment. Impersonating a police officer is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year in jail upon conviction unless it is done to commit another crime. In that case, it is a felony punishable by up to 4 years in prison. First-degree vulnerable adult abuse is a felony punishable by up to 15 years in prison. Aggravated domestic violence is a misdemeanor or felony with lengths of imprisonment depending on prior convictions. Further charges could be possible, according to Carol. You have no idea why he broke into the morgue, though.
No, it's like, what is the motivation there? Like, what was he going to do if he got in?
Maybe
So
he
you
was,
can't really judge, like the severity of the crime. You can't add that felony charge on top of it because you don't know what he was going to do.
maybe he was trying to cover up something that he felt he did, or maybe there was something he did that he knew he would be caught on. So he was,
Yeah. Yeah. That was my thought too. Maybe he was trying to, I don't know how you would cover something up, but
I don't know. Maybe there was something to the abuse that he knew he'd be fingered for. So he figured he would try and cover it up. I don't know. People
so
think
weird.
strangely. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not rational thought processes going on with him at the time. So we probably can't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. All right. We're one story away, Jess, from not safe for work. You can brace yourself here. You can start to.
All right. I almost took us there early. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
you did. Yeah. So steel yourself here because we're getting close. This next story has to do with parents that bound their son, who's 8 years old, with tape. The child.
No.
This is to get the kids ready for not safe for work. They can back away from their listening device now. You can get them away from the listening device right now.
Or let them know your mommy and daddy are so nice. Look what they would never bound you with tape.
Or this is what they're going to do to you during the not safe for work portion of the program. Yeah. Just saying. This child was restrained from his shoulders down to his feet.
What? That's like his whole body.
Yeah. A married couple is doing, oh, by the way, if you want to see what the parents of the year look like, by the way, this is what they look like right here.
Oh, they look mean.
They do. Don't they look like they're only in it for themselves? A married couple has been arrested on felony charges after their 8-year-old son suffered permanent disfigurement when he was bound with tape from his shoulders down to his feet in an apparent disciplinary measure, police say. As alleged in an arrest affidavit, 56-year-old Nicholas Barcett admitted chasing his child around their Florida home. There's a shock. It happened in Florida before grabbing the victim against his will. Barcett then picked up the boy and carried him to the child's bedroom. The defendant held the victim down as he utilized tape to tie the child up from his shoulders down to his feet, investigators allege. While this was occurring, Barcett's wife, Alex, who's 45 years old, looked on and did not intercede. The boy was left alone in his room, told cops he yelled for help and attempted to stand up despite not being able to move due to the tape. While trying to get up, the child fell on his face, splitting his chin open. The victim could not brace himself for the fall due to his limbs being bonded to his body by the tape, according to the affidavit. When the boy's parents later found him bleeding on the bedroom floor, Nicholas Barcett told cops he performed first aid to get the bleeding to stop. The couple did not call emergency services or bring their son to a medical facility to have the laceration properly checked and closed. Court filings did not indicate how police who arrested the Barsetts Sunday evening learned of the taping punishment, which reportedly occurred about 2 months ago. Both parents, cops say, confessed their respective roles in the incident after being read their Miranda rights. Nicholas Barsett was charged with felony child abuse and booked into the county jail, from which he was released Tuesday upon posting $15,000 bond. Charged with neglect of a child, Alex Barsett spent a night in custody before she was freed Monday on her own recognizance. Through her lawyers, the couple yesterday entered not guilty pleas to the criminal courts. A judge ordered them to have no contact with the victim, whose current custody status is not addressed in court records. The Barsetts, who were born in France and wed in Grenoble in 2016, last year purchased their St. Petersburg home for $490,000. Nicholas is an executive with the Red Hat software company, while Alex's Instagram page describes her as a sailor, diver, and a yoga teacher.
Wow, that doesn't sound very yoga-ish.
No, there's no namaste in that.
No.
No, except strike a pose. I'm going to tape you to the bed, evidently.
Yikes. What goes through someone's mind? Like, I wanted you to tell me he was like on drugs or something, because that's just like the only way I can imagine someone doing that to their kid.
That is far from old-fashioned discipline.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine that. Yeah. Taping a kid down is not cool.
Completely. Can you imagine taking the tape off after your whole body has been taped? It would hurt so bad.
And I think that's what they didn't say what kind of tape, but I'm imagining if there was injuries all over the kid that it was duct tape.
Yeah. It would rip your skin off.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrific. That's for sure.
Ooh.
All right. We take a cleansing breath, try to get that out of our system as we go into not safe for work territory. It's that time once again, folks, where Jess tries to scrub her brain clean before we get into this. And we need to get the kids out of the room, of course. And of course, if you're at work, you need to put in your earbuds so the boss doesn't listen. And of course, your coworkers can't listen either. We'll give you until 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This one is relatively tame, but it does contain a bad word. I ain't hard to find is what a Florida woman told the sheriff's office as she engaged them in social media, taunting a battle over a warrant. She's pretty brave, Jess. You can tell she's young when you look at her picture right here.
Oh, she looks delighted to be there too, as everyone looks so happy in their mugshots.
Yeah, isn't she? She's nice. She's happy. But she's like, I ain't hard to find.
Find me if you can.
That's right. Alize Richardson is her name. Actually, that's her middle name. A Florida woman and Florida Sheriff's Office appear to be trading barbs in a viral social media battle over an outstanding warrant and investigative work efforts, respectively. On Tuesday, the Alachua County Sheriff's Office uploaded a wanted poster on Facebook requesting, I don't get the whole uploading to Facebook thing, but okay, I guess.
It's our new bulletin board.
I guess there's plenty of old crotchety people who want to find people on Facebook, I guess. They uploaded a wanted poster on Facebook requesting the public's help for information on the whereabouts of Quantaria Panky Alize Richardson, who's all of 27 years old, because she'd never be looking for anybody on Facebook. I guess. I don't know. She's on Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah. Snapchat.
The poster reads, Quantaria Richardson, a.k.a. Alize Richardson, a.k.a. Panky, has an outstanding warrant since December of 2024 for aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. That was just the beginning of this whole story, however. In quick succession, a Facebook user identified as Alize Richardson shared the department's post with a sarcastic caption reading, "Shit, I ain't hard to find. Do your job." Pretty good impression.
Yeah.
Thank you. Richardson's post prompted dozens of additional Facebook users to also share the law enforcement wanted poster, but with an eye toward amusement instead of turning the wanted woman in. So we've made it a game.
Mm-hmm.
In a since deleted Facebook post, the agency replied, "Hey, Alize Richardson, low key, you ain't that. Lucky for you, we are used to those who play hard to get. Real talk. Be our Valentine. Slide into our DMs and we'll pick you up in a custom green and white whip. We have jewelry that will fit your wrist perfectly. And we have already reserved the best bed and breakfast in town. See you soon."
Okay, that's funny.
That is funny. Yeah. A copy of the sheriff's office emoji interspersed reply was captured by Tampa Bay-based Fox affiliate WTVT before it was deleted. The back and forth reportedly continued once more. The Facebook user, identified as Richardson, allegedly shot back, according to Mobile, Alabama-based CBS affiliate WKRG. In what looks to be the final public volley, Richardson allegedly contested the sheriff's office characterization of her initial taunt, insisting that she high key 8. The woman also reportedly said, "Y'all mad, now come get me." Wow. Little cat and mouse game here.
Yes.
As of this writing, there's not a female inmate with the last name of Richardson in the Alachua County Jail.
Oh, they still haven't gotten her?
No. Law and Crime reached out to the Alachua County Sheriff's Office for additional details on the story, but no response was immediately forthcoming at the time of publication.
I do love that one of her aliases is Panky.
Yeah, Panky. Yeah.
Panky. I'll be Panky, you be Hanky.
Okay. All right.
Hanky Panky.
Panky. Yeah. All right. That's our aliases. Although that would make me someone that someone would blow their snot into.
That's true.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Wasn't Hanky the Pooh from South Park too?
Yeah, Mr. Hanky.
No.
Yep.
Oh.
I'm Mr. Hanky, the Christmas Pooh. Season.
Yeah.
I love you. Yeah.
So when Tim and I go on a crime spree, that's what he's going to be talking like the whole time.
Mr. Hanky. Jeez, Mr. Hanky. All right. When I say we're deep into the debauchery today, we're deep into the debauchery today. We're about to go on a spree here, Jess. A spree of debauchery.
Oh, gosh, heaven help us.
And we're still in Florida. As Miami-Dade deputies arrest a man accused of exposing himself to Dollar Tree customers.
Oh, geez.
It's a gender reveal party, except for it's the wrong type of gender reveal at the Dollar Tree.
Hey guys, I'm a boy.
I'm a boy. Here it is. Man was arrested Thursday night after deputies said he exposed himself and engaged in inappropriate behavior. That's hard to say. Inside a Dollar Tree store in Miami-Dade County earlier this week. 42-year-old Manuel Rio Pedre was taken into custody by Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office deputies on one count of indecent exposure, according to an arrest report. The incident occurred at around 5:30 p.m. Tuesday at the Dollar Tree, located at 1255 Northwest 103rd Street at the county's Pinewood area. Deputies said a woman shopping in the store noticed Rio Pedre following her while behaving inappropriately. That'd be pretty easy to spot, I would think. If you're a woman, you're just walking along the Dollar Tree. You're walking along the Dollar Tree, picking out your items, and there's a man walking inappropriately behind you.
You would notice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy to spot, I would think. Yeah. So, concerned for her safety, investigators said the woman began recording him with her phone. Moments later, Rio Pedre exposed himself and began masturbating while maintaining eye contact with her, much like an ape would. Okay, what's the psyche here, Jess?
I don't know, Tim. You tell me.
Do you think that's going to be the deal maker there? Like
that's going to win her over. She's going to want to go on a date with you.
Yeah, if I look her in the eye and right there, that she's going to go, wow, yeah. Yeah, baby. Probably not. There's probably going to be more fear than anything else there.
But maybe that is the goal. I mean, that, it's almost like rape, but not to the same extent. But it's like kind of a you can't not see this. I'm doing this to you. I don't know.
And then the point being,
Yeah, and I don't think it's a mating ritual. I think it's more of a abuse, like
okay,
something to hurt someone or
forcing yourself on someone for the reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Investigators say the woman informed Rio Pedre that she was recording. I'm recording you, prompting him to stop and leave the store. I guess he didn't want to be a star. They said she later provided police with surveillance footage of the incident. Maybe he had a tiny one. That's why maybe he had a tweezers out and he was
Maybe.
Yeah, a little hummingbird action there. They said she later provided the footage. Through investigative means, detectives identified Rio Pedre as a suspect, and the victim positively identified him in a photo lineup. Hopefully it was by his face. Just saying.
Yikes.
Authorities confirmed that Rio Pedre was taken into custody at 9:13 p.m. last Thursday. He was read his Miranda rights, but invoked his right to remain silent. I doubt he said a lot of words while he was in front of her. Just saying.
Yeah.
As of Friday, Rio Pedre was being held at the Turner Guilford Knight Correctional Center, where his bond was listed as to be set. I'd say they give him $1,000 for every stroke. That's what they should do.
Depending on how long the video is, that could be quite expensive.
It could be, but hey, it's appropriate, right?
I think it's fair.
I think it's only fair. Speaking of strokes here, Jess, we go on to our next story where we go over to Australia. In a truly disturbing story, a Sydney male nurse is deregistered after being caught masturbating in front of an elderly dementia patient during a movie night. This is not Netflix and chill.
Why?
We're about to find out. A Sydney nurse has been deregistered after he masturbated in front of a dementia patient at an aged care facility. Arnold Balwayan Alunde, who's 48 years old, from Ropes Crossing in Blacktown, masturbated in front of the 70-year-old dementia patient after turning the lights off and closing the curtains to her private room, according to a tribunal. The Healthcare Complaints Commission heard Alunde took advantage of the fact that she would have either not remembered or not believed if she had reported the incident. The Civil and Administrative Tribunal heard how Alunde had taken the patient, who suffers from early onset dementia, away from a movie night with other residents to go to the bathroom in her private room. He then laid her down on the bed before taking off her pants and underwear and started masturbating in front of the patient in full view. Alunde was caught by a female colleague who reported the incident in August of 2023. The Healthcare Complaints Commission told the tribunal how, after being caught, Alunde wouldn't cooperate with the investigation and immediately found work with another aged care provider as a registered nurse.
No.
He went right back to work.
Oh, that is, ugh, yuck.
No criminal charges were laid, but the tribunal canceled Alunde's registration with a non-review period of 3 years.
I know criminal charges. That is definitely criminal.
Yeah. He was also banned from providing any health service during that time. The respondent took to avoid detection of his behavior, such as closing the curtains, turning off the lights, and performing the act in a private setting when he was aware that his female colleague was tending to another patient and the other AIN on shift was on break, the commission told the tribunal. These steps make it clear that Alunde knew what he was doing was wrong.
Well, and not only did he do that to himself, but he exposed that woman's private parts. Like, he took off her bottoms. What's that about?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The tribunal heard Alunde admitted to his wrongdoing to the Nursing and Midwifery Council and said he knew it was really serious and something which a staff member should not do. But the commission told the tribunal he had not demonstrated any remorse or consideration to how the patient would have felt during the incident. His evidence given to the council was focused upon his own misfortunes, his family, his own misfortunes and his family, the commission said. The conduct has a real potential to erode public confidence in the nursing profession. The facility where the incident took place was not named to protect the patient's identity. Alunde migrated to Australia in June 2011 from the Philippines and gained a Bachelor of Nursing from Western Sydney University in 2023. He was registered as a nurse in Australia in March of 2023. Alunde's LinkedIn page says he's employed by Australian Unity as an assistant in nursing, but the organization told news.com.au he left in April of 2020. That's disturbing.
Super gross.
Just disturbing. All right, we'll lighten it up a little bit here. This story, and I have to know here, Jess, before we launch into this story here, I mean, you've gotten into a few tiffs with your husband from time to time over the years, I'm sure.
Of course. I mean, we've been together for 30 plus years, so.
Sure. And now, has it ever gotten physical? I mean, that's a little personal, but I mean, you know, have you ever flicked him in the nose or anything like that? No? Just like, you're being ridiculous. Flick.
No, I think the worst that ever happened was I got so mad. I went when we were very young. I was probably 21, and I went into a bedroom in our apartment and I slammed the door so hard that I broke it. And then I was stuck. I couldn't get out.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's bad for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think this woman may have, pardon my language here, Jess, literally may have fucked up her husband and fucked herself. I'm going to explain.
Okay.
A woman battered her hubby with a dildo.
What?
The accused, you see why I said that.
You say that with such a straight face. Like you weren't going to laugh. You're just like, a woman battered her husband with a dildo.
Yes. Well, I'm a professional.
That's another day.
It's another day. The accused wielded a sex toy during a domestic tiff. Of course, that's no lightsaber. We'll put it that way. When her husband threatened to call police during an argument, a woman pulled out a dildo and began striking the man with it. May the force be with you. Always.
Pulled it out of where?
Exactly, huh? It's no sheath she pulled it out of. According to Florida police, who arrested the alleged sex toy attacker for domestic battery, they said, is that still vibrating? That's what they said. No. Cops were dispatched Sunday to a Fort Pierce resident in reference to a disturbance in progress. Well, just twist it this way and it'll stop disturbing.
Oh, what do you do if you're the cop and you walk in and that is what's happening? You have to break up a fight of a woman beating a man with a dildo.
Is that a nightstick? Whoa. Yeah. Is that dishwasher safe? That's the first question you ask. And second, no, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, you don't want to have to take it away from her. You don't want to disarm her. It could be dirty. Ew. Gross.
They have evidence bags for that, Jess, and they wear rubber gloves.
But if you're running in and you're like, I gotta disarm this woman who's beating this man, and you have to take out of her hands what she has, you don't get out your baggie. You just gotta use your hands and.
Well, you know how you disarm her, right? As she's holding.
How?
Up, you throw her anal beads.
I mean, I guess that could probably work.
That's an old cop joke. Just saying.
You just happen to have anal beads in your pocket.
Well,
hold on, guys, I got this.
Every good cop carries them. It's the combination anal beads rosary. Just saying. I'm going to hell. That's yeah. Anywho, cops were dispatched Sunday to a Fort Pierce residence in reference to a disturbance in progress involving a 52-year-old man and 50-year-old Julissa Negron. The victim told police that Negron was staying with him while she gathered clothing before relocating to Puerto Rico, or from Puerto Rico to Connecticut, to start her life over. Negron and the victim were married in Connecticut in 2003. While Negron was well-behaved a day earlier, the victim told police he was drinking alcoholic beverages, resulting in her acting disorderly, and started arguments about who he follows on Instagram. Well, there's a little jealousy here.
Oh, yeah.
At one point, Negron allegedly began to get in the victim's face, which she believes was to antagonize him. When the man warned that he would dial 911, Negron pulled out a dildo and began to hit the victim with it. I suppose whatever's closest, right? I mean, yeah. Or maybe she yelled, "You're a dick," and then hit him with the dildo. You know. The dildo or its prior location is not further described in an arrest report, which does not indicate whether police confiscated the alleged weapon as evidence. So we don't know if they're still holding it, so to speak. When cops arrived at the man's home, he warned that Negron was inside naked and would flash officers.
What?
Yeah. It gets better. The man also explained a history of Negron's abusiveness prior to her leaving for Puerto Rico, to the point where he needed to leave his own home. Negron was reportedly agitated, disorderly, and smelled of alcohol. That's how he likes them. When police sought to question her, I was unable to get a clear story from Negron, a cop noted. Negron was arrested at the scene and subsequently booked into the county jail on a misdemeanor battery count. Freed from custody Monday evening on a $1,000 bond, Negron is scheduled to be arraigned on March 24th. A judge has ordered her to have no contact with the victim. Let me give you a shot of Ms. Negron here, show you what an angry dildo wielder looks like. That's what she looks like right there, Jess.
Yeah, she's the least happy looking one of all the mugshots today.
Well, she didn't get full use, I'm guessing.
She was left unsatisfied.
That's right. Well, not the first time she's been left unsatisfied by that gentleman. So, speaking of left unsatisfied, we go to Wendy's. I mean, probably not the first time someone's been left unsatisfied in front of a Wendy's, but this couple in particular, Jess, as we, I believe, stay in Florida, was left unsatisfied before Valentine's Day. This happened pre-Valentine's Day. But really, is there anything more romantic than having sex with your partner in broad daylight in front of a Wendy's as motorists pass by on a busy highway?
Wow. It sounds just, magical.
Doesn't it, though? It's
Right, yeah.
like, hey, baby, would you like some meat between them buns? And then it's like, no, I'm talking about Wendy's. I was just talking about Wendy's.
Yeah, I'm like, can I get a Frosty when it's all over? Okay, then.
Yeah, let me dip my fries into your Frosty. It's Wendy's. It's just Wendy's, right? Well, according to police, 53-year-old Demetria Wilson and 29-year-old Timario Morel, way to go, Demetria.
Wow.
Yeah, were caught in the act Saturday afternoon in Clearwater, Florida. Officer Parker Moody reported spotting Wilson and Morel laying on the ground behind the bus stop in view of the busy highway. The bus stop was in front of a Wendy's restaurant in an adjacent U.S. Highway 19. Wilson, unencumbered by pants, was on her right side with her buttocks facing her partner. Oh, don't stop.
Oh.
Yeah. Morel's pants were pulled down and he was in a turgid state. I think we all know what that means. As he repetitively engaged with Wilson. I love how they have to clinically write this out in a report.
Wow, yeah, this is so weirdly descriptive.
Yeah. The couple was busted and charged with performing an unnatural and lascivious act. Wilson and Morel, both of whom have lengthy rap sheets, remained locked up in lieu of, respectively. How much, Jess? How much do you think it cost each of them to get out of jail for a little bit of Wendy's loving?
Let's say somewhere around 10,000.
Wow. For a
Is
little
it lower?
Yeah, a little bit lower. Yeah. For a little roadside loving next to a
I
Wendy's.
think eventually I'm going to get good at this, but no, I just keep getting worse at it.
You'll
5,000?
I'll give you one more chance. Get lower.
800.
Get lower.
800.
You're close there. $150 and $500 respectively.
What?
Yeah. So when you're in Florida, just take them clothes off and start getting busy in front of the Wendy's.
Wow, I guess. Like, no big deal. It's just another day.
Just another day in Florida. They've each pleaded not guilty to the misdemeanor charge. In other words, you can't hold me back when it's time to get it on. That's what the lucky couple look like right there.
That's a very seductive look in her eyes there.
No. It was more animalistic than anything. getting it out
Did
of.
they really have to be so descriptive in that article, though? Like, did we need to know all the details?
I think we did.
Okay.
So,
I
all
could have
right.
lived without them.
That's how we end Dumb Crime Stupid Criminals today. It's time now for our palate cleanser, Jess. Okay.
I'm ready.
This one, and it has to do with we're still in the criminal crime area with this, but it gets a little lighter. This is our little palate cleanser. Now, what happens when cops decide to make it cute when they make a bust, right? I'm going to show you a picture here, Jess. Tell me you could handle being a criminal if this was your cop that was busting you.
Oh my gosh. Is that a giant pig?
No, that's a capybara.
Oh, oh,
I have one of
oh,
those
that's
my
so
tea
cute.
infuser. Am I a little bit less masculine now that I've said that? I have a little capybara tea infuser.
Oh, I love that about you, Tim.
Yeah, I don't know. Thanks. Peruvian policemen in a capybara costume are making Valentine's drug busts. Jess,
That's the
that's how they.
cutest thing.
It is, isn't it? Police body cam footage showed the moment that officers used a capybara costume to carry out a drug raid in Peru's capital of Lima. I believe it is the Escuadron Verde, or Green Squad, police group, is a specialized unit of the Peruvian National Police who often disguise their agents in fancy dress during festivities such as Valentine's Day, Halloween, and Christmas. The head of the unit, Colonel Pedro Rojas, has said, on this occasion, Valentine's Day, Lover's Day, we sought to camouflage ourselves with the character of the capybara. Peruvian police have previously dressed their officers up as Marvel characters, Spider-Man, Captain America, Thor, and Black Widow, to carry out a drug raid. This time, it was the cutest little capybara ever. I'll tell you what, I'll post this in the link of the description, or a link of this in the description so you can watch them bust people in a capybara.
It's pretty cute. I wonder though, like if you're getting busted for drugs, would you just be like, dude, am I like really this high? Is that a capybara coming after me?
It's the cutest capybara costume ever. If you just look at that. I mean,
It really is.
could you really be mad that you're going up for 20, 30, 40 years?
No, I would just have to laugh and probably give it a hug.
Yeah, right? Like, can I get a hug before I go up the river? I mean, seriously. And they put them in a pink vest.
You think that's like bulletproof in there though?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely bulletproof.
Are they safe?
I think they are. I think they
Because I
are.
don't think they could run away or like really fight in that costume. It's so big and bulky.
Well, I think that's why they have other officers around. But the
Yeah.
decoy is the big capybara, the big mascot costume, the big
How do you get to be the cop that gets to do that part of the bus? Like I'd be like, I will, I'm doing that. Sign me up.
You would have to have Kevlar. They probably have a Kevlar vest on underneath.
Yeah. I mean, they would have to be somehow protect, but, you know, because drug busts, they can be pretty dangerous.
Would you think that maybe it was like under the disguise of some sort of thing where they bring their kids or something?
No. And if this is like a normal thing they do you think the drug people are gonna like get on to them and then they're just gonna start like killing, like shooting at mascots? Like there's a
Mascots, yes.
Mickey Mouse coming to town and it gets killed just because they're like, that's clearly a cop.
Yeah, yes. All mascots are in danger now.
They're
Poor,
putting them all in death's door.
poor Mickey's gonna get it now. Oh. Well, our last story and our last palate cleanser here, Jess, is when Grandma finds thug life.
All right. I can't wait for this one.
It turns out that every once in a while, Jess, we have to spread our wings and drop. Not fly necessarily, but just drop to the ground. We just have to find our wild side. We just have to hang out with the dregs of society. Well, a New York woman is spending her 104th birthday in jail as part of a special bucket list wish.
Stop it.
Yes. She finally has found the dark side.
Oh, I love her. She's 104.
104. Her bucket wish, Jess, was that she was going to get thrown in the can. A Western New York woman lived out her lifelong wish for her 104th birthday celebration when some sheriff's officers allowed her to spend some time locked up behind bars.
How is that her bucket list wish?
That's it. Loretta, a resident at the Avon Nursing Home in Geneseo, saw her bizarre dream come true last week when she willingly got tossed in the clink at the Livingston County Jail on Monday. Here's a picture of Loretta with some officers.
Oh, Loretta.
Right? She just can't resist.
Oh, God bless her. I love her so much. She's so spunky.
The centenarian was even offered a private tour of the facility where she got the elaborate surveillance system and booking chambers up close and personal, or got to see them. Loretta appeared thrilled in photographs of the experience, particularly in a shot where she was seen reaching for a pair of shackles. Unlike other guests of the jail, typically visiting against their will, Loretta's trip included a party complete with coffee and cake. Look at this. Here's the picture of her reaching for them chains.
Oh, so
Look at that.
cute
She's
and
like,
weird.
put me in them.
It's like the weirdest cute thing I've ever seen.
She's like, put me in those chains. The tour came just 2 days after Loretta's actual birthday on February 8th. Her loved ones and the sheriff's office scrambled to make her dream a reality after she revealed that her only wish was to see the inside of our jail because she had never been to jail before. Before leaving, Loretta imparted some especially sage advice to Livingston County Sheriff Thomas Doherty on how to live a long life. Mind your business, she's quoted as saying.
It's the opposite of his job, but
Right. The officers apparently had as much fun as the centenarian. Loretta had a great time touring our jail facility, and we are so glad that we were able to make her birthday wishes come true. Thank you for all the laughs today and for being such a great sport, the Sheriff's Department wrote on Facebook. This is extremely rare for humans to live as long as Loretta, according to a Boston University study. Just get this, 0.027% of the U.S. population reaches age 100. About 85% of centenarians are women.
wow, that's incredible.
So way to go, Loretta.
I love it. That was the best palate cleanser ever, Tim.
Living that thug life. Yeah. I don't want to see where she hides the shank, though. I totally don't want to. So, but congratulations, Loretta. You got your bucket list item.
Yes, good for her.
So that's how we end Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals. I want to remind you guys, again, go get the book Chainedbirds by Carla Conti. I want to thank Carla for being on the program today. We have a link in the description of this program for that wonderful book that is available right now. Jess, what do you have going on in your world?
Well, I'll probably be announcing an event coming up. I mean, it's way out in December, but we're not going to announce it till the end of February. So coming up soon, that's the big thing we have going on. And, just buy some books if you want. I'll have more coming out this summer and then some more in the fall and books.
There you go. Let's see here. If you're listening to this podcast and you want to view this podcast, you can do it one of two ways. You can go to darknessradioshow.com. There should be a video link on top of the audio link in the listing of this show. Either that or like and subscribe over at the original Darkness Radio on YouTube. That's our YouTube channel. We'd appreciate it if you would do so. We're looking to grow the show on YouTube, so please join us over there. Also, darknessradioshow.com. Check out the store and some new cool swag over there. What else? Other housekeeping items here, Jess?
I don't know. I know I want that alien gnome, though. I almost bought that the other day. I need one.
The alien gnome?
Yeah, you have it in the store, the Darkness Radio store.
Ooh.
He's so cute.
Point it out to me. Maybe I'll just slide one your way.
Be my birthday gift.
There you go. Let's see here. What else? The Apple app, of course. Remind you to download the Apple app. That's another way you can listen to the show. If you have an Apple device, whether it be iPhone, iPad. I don't know that you can listen to it on an Apple Watch. I don't have one. I don't. I should get one. With the whole heart thing and everything. They keep telling me I
Oh,
should get
you
an Apple Watch.
should. That's what my daughter wanted for her birthday. She's the only one in the house who has one, but I mean,
Yeah,
she tracks her sleep and everything.
yeah, and they're telling me now to track my steps with it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you should.
yeah, I should get one. But check out the Apple app, Darkness Radio Apple app. Just search in the store for Darkness Radio. Also, tomorrow on the big show, Supernatural News with Mally Fox. Thursday is a little bit of a surprise. Just put it that way.
I always love your surprises.
Well, there you go. So we got a little bit of a surprise on Thursday. I think that'll do it for today. For Jessica Freeburg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for continuing to listen. Oh, by the way, our executive producer for today is Troy Palmer. So thank you, Troy, for everything you do. Thank you so much for listening today to the best in true crime podcasting. Thank you so much for listening and watching True Crime Tuesday.
For more audio and video archive of True Crime Tuesday, intriguing content, and cool swag, please visit darknessradioshow.com. The executive producer of today's show is Troy Palmer. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe. Join us tomorrow for Supernatural News with Mally Fox, right here on Darkness Radio.